It was just after sunrise when the gates of Angola State Penitentiary opened and Langston Miles stepped out, free for the first time in nearly 2 decades. He had no car waiting, no cheering family, just a trash bag filled with what was left of the life he lost. His jeans didn't fit the same. His shoes were 2 sizes too big. And the world felt faster than he remembered. But one thing hadn't changed. Inked across his chest, just above his heart, was the name Serena, the woman he'd married at 21, the woman he thought about every single night inside that cell, the woman he gave up everything for. Langston's stride was slow, not just from age, but from the weight of memory. He'd spent 18 years convincing himself that loyalty still mattered, that some things, like love, don't fade when time passes. They only get stronger. He believed that. He needed to believe that, because without it, all those years meant nothing. 2 weeks later, the silence of a Baton Rouge neighborhood was ripped apart. A neighbor called 911, screaming in the background, then yelling, then shots. Loud, sharp, then silence. When police arrived, they walked into a home that didn't look disturbed from the outside. Nothing stolen, nothing ransacked. But inside, 2 bodies lay motionless on the floor. One male, one female, each with a bullet wound to the head. No signs of forced entry. No defensive wounds. But the message was clear. Whoever did this wanted it done face to face. Detectives would later call it personal, painful, ruthless. But what they didn't say, at least not on record, was that it felt like the ending of something that had been building for years. The victims were familiar faces. The suspect, one they all remembered. Langston Miles had only been home for 14 days. But before judgment is passed, before assumptions are made, you have to understand the full story. Because what led to that night didn't start with a gun. It started with a bond, a promise, a betrayal, and a man who refused to speak a name. This is where it begins. 18 years ago, in a dusty neighborhood in East Baton Rouge, where 3 lives were tied together, and only one would walk away whole. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing, for your support helps to ensure that we keep improving and bringing daily told and untold true crime story updates. Langston Miles was the kind of man who never talked too much, but always made sure you were good before you walked away from him. Quiet strength. That's what his mother used to call it. He was the kind of boy who worked 2 jobs after school just to help out at home. Wasn't flashy. Wasn't loud. Just real. Steady. You could count on him. And in East Baton Rouge, where everything could change overnight, that kind of loyalty meant something. Dorian Jelks, everybody called him DJ, was a complete opposite. DJ had charm, the kind that made people lean in when he talked. He could hustle his way out of any situation, quick on his feet, knew how to make money without ever clocking in. And while most boys in the neighborhood want to be like the rappers on TV, DJ already acted like one. Langston and DJ met when they were 9. Their moms were close. Their houses were just a few blocks apart. They shared bikes, homework, and food. Blood couldn't make them closer. They were more than best friends. They were family. And when Langston met Serena Joy in high school, DJ was the first one he introduced her to. Serena wasn't like most girls at that age. She was focused, always talking about nursing school, scholarships, making it out. Her eyes were kind, but they had fire behind them. And when she looked at Langston, it was like she saw a future nobody else believed in. The 3 of them became a unit. Langston and Serena were inseparable, and DJ was always right there with them. Cracking jokes, playing mediator when they argued, showing up to their family cookouts like he belonged. Because he did. But time changes people, even when love doesn't. DJ started making money fast. Too fast. 1 month, he was borrowing Langston's shoes. The next, he had a new car with tinted windows and a watch that looked too expensive for someone with no job. Langston asked questions. DJ gave answers that didn't quite make sense, but sounded good enough to believe. Eventually, DJ pulled Langston aside and said he had a way to make quick cash. Just once. Said it was low risk. Easy. Langston didn't want to do it, but the bills were adding up. Serena had just found out she was pregnant, and DJ made it sound like the kind of shortcut that wouldn't lead anywhere bad. So Langston said yes. It went smooth the first time. Quick exchange. No issues. A few hundred in his pocket, and a nervous knot in his stomach. But DJ told him he did good. Told him he could make real money if he ran with him more. Langston said no. Went back to work. But the pressure didn't let up. His car broke down. Serena needed doctor visits. Rent was late. DJ came again with another offer. Just one more time, he said. Just one. Langston agreed. That second time didn't go smoothly. The cops had been watching. Langston was caught, with enough to make the charges stick. At that moment, he had a choice. Tell them who put him up to it or stay silent. The detectives pushed him, promised him a deal. Less time, a way out. All he had to do was give them DJ. But Langston looked him in the eyes and said nothing. His exact words were, "We can't both go down." To him, that was the right thing to do. Protect his brother. Keep DJ free so he could help Serena, help the baby, keep things moving while he was gone. He told himself it would be temporary. That loyalty wasn't just about words. It was about what you did when no one was looking. So he took the full weight of the charge. 18 years, just like that. As the cell door closed behind him, Langston thought he was making the ultimate sacrifice for the people he loved. What he didn't know was how much things were already changing on the outside. What he didn't know was how that one choice would come back years later. Not just to haunt him, but to destroy everything he believed in. 18 years. That was the number the judge said out loud before the gavel dropped. Langston didn't flinch. He just stood there, hands cuffed, eyes fixed on Serena. She would cry in the back row, her hand pressed against her chest like she was trying to hold her heart together. DJ stood beside her, jaw tight, eyes low. He didn't say a word. Nobody did. The courtroom emptied out slowly, like the air had been sucked from the room. When Langston turned to walk out, he didn't look back. He didn't need to. He already knew what he was leaving behind. The bus to Angola was long. The ride felt like it would never end. The road stretched through miles of Louisiana land, past sugarcane fields and broken fences. It smelled like heat and old wood. When they pulled through the gates of the prison, everything changed. Angola wasn't just a prison. It was a world of its own. Concrete and razor wire. Chain-link fences that never stopped buzzing. Guards that didn't smile. Men who stared too long. There was no welcome speech. No adjustment period. You either figured it out or you didn't. Langston figured it out. He didn't talk unless someone talked to him. He kept to himself, stayed away from the yard politics, learned quickly where to walk and where not to. He worked in the kitchen, then in the library, started reading books just to keep his mind moving. And every night, before he closed his eyes, he would pull out the letters Serena wrote him and read them again, even though he already knew the words by heart. Her handwriting made the walls feel less cold. The first year, the letters came every week. She talked about their baby. She sent pictures of their daughter, Jalen, who had his nose and her eyes. She told him she was working 2 jobs, going to school, trying to keep everything together. She always ended her letters the same way. I love you. We're waiting. The visit started after 6 months. Serena and DJ came together. DJ brought snacks from outside. Serena held Langston's hands the whole time. He remembered how her perfume clung to his shirt after she hugged him. It made the whole unit smell like home. DJ told Langston everything was under control. I got her back, bro. You ain't got to worry. And for a long time, Langston didn't. But then things started changing. The letters stopped being weekly, then monthly, then every few months. The handwriting changed. The words got shorter. Some visits were missed. When they did come, Serena seemed tired, eyes red, voice quiet. DJ started doing more of the talking. He'd say Serena was stressed, tired from work. Jalen had the flu, car trouble, bills piling up, all the usual reasons. But they started to pile up like bricks. During one visit, DJ came alone, said Serena couldn't make it. When Langston asked why, DJ paused, then shrugged. We had a little argument. She just needs space. Another time, Serena came without DJ. She looked like she'd been crying, said everything was fine, kept smiling like she was trying to convince herself. Langston noticed things. The way DJ's tone changed when he talked about Serena. The way Serena didn't meet his eyes when he asked her about school. But he pushed those thoughts down. He had to, because thinking too much in a place like Angola could make a man lose his mind. He tried to stay focused, wrote letters of his own, sent drawings to Jalen, started writing a plan for a car detailing business. He wanted to start once he got out. DJ said he'd help fund it. Serena said she believed in him. But believing started to feel one-sided. The visits dropped to just holidays, then not at all. 1 year came and went with only one letter. Inside Angola, time doesn't move in days. It moves in events, fights, shakedowns, news from the outside. And one day, Langston got news from another inmate, a quiet man from back home who had come in recently. He leaned over and said one sentence. "Your boy, DJ, living like you never coming home." Langston didn't ask what that meant. He didn't want to know. Not yet. He just walked back to his bunk, pulled out his letters, and stared at the last one Serena had written. It was 6 months old, 4 lines long. No picture. No "I love you." No "we're waiting." In the background, things continued to shift. Serena sitting in a bathroom, knees pulled her chest, tears on her cheeks. DJ pacing outside their apartment, phone in his hand, unable to dial. But inside Angola, Langston kept moving. Same routine, same silence, same hope. He still believed that when those gates opened, she'd be there. That the man he protected, the woman he sacrificed for, would be right where he left them. But the truth was already too far gone. It just hadn't caught up to him yet. By year 9, the silence was louder than any noise Langston had ever heard. He started noticing patterns. Questions that used to get answers started being brushed off. DJ's visits were still happening, but they were shorter, less personal. He'd sit across the glass, talk fast, laugh about things Langston didn't find funny, and always ended with the same line. "You ain't got to worry about her. She's straight." But Langston was worried, not because of anything specific, but because nothing specific was being said. Serena had stopped writing altogether. No letters. No updates. Not even a signature on the birthday card DJ handed him 1 year. With a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Langston didn't ask where she was. At first, he figured she was tired, raising a child, working, living. But when the visits stopped completely, and even DJ started coming alone more often, he started asking. DJ said she was stressed, said she needed time, said the little one was acting out, and Serena was doing her best. Langston nodded, but something didn't sit right. Her voice had been his anchor. Now it was gone, and that silence did more damage than time ever could. In prison, time slows down, but your mind doesn't. Langston started seeing things in pieces. Flashbacks. Moments that used to give him comfort started to shift. Serena's smile when they first held hands in high school. The way she looked up at him on their wedding day. The soft touch of her fingers through the glass the first time she visited him. But now those memories were followed by different images. Her eyes looking away. Her hands slipping out of his. The sound of DJ's voice saying, "She's good," one too many times. It was in the prison yard when a man named Curtis dropped a line Langston couldn't ignore. Curtis was from the same side of Baton Rouge. He had just come in on a short bid. He walked past Langston one afternoon. During rec, didn't even stop. Just said it low under his breath, like he was passing weather news. "Your boy DJ is out there living like you're dead." And kept walking. Langston froze. He didn't chase after him. Didn't ask for clarity. He just stared straight ahead and felt the ground move beneath him. Later that night, he laid on his bunk, staring at the ceiling, counting the cracks in the paint. 1, 2, 3, over and over. He tried to convince himself it wasn't what it sounded like. That Curtis didn't know what he was talking about. But a seed had been planted, and it was growing by the hour. Langston started pulling out every letter Serena had ever written. reading them backwards, looking for anything he might have missed. He played the visits over in his head, like old movies. DJ's words, Serena's tone, the pauses, the changes. He kept telling himself there had to be a reason, a good one, that she was still out there waiting. That DJ still had his back. That everything he sacrificed meant something. But deep down, something had shifted. To keep from drowning in doubt, Langston took a job in the prison library. The same books he used to read to pass the time became his way of escaping. He'd shell paperbacks, sort through returns, and clean the tables. And in between all, he'd imagine the future. Opening a small car detailing shop, working with his hands, rebuilding trust, rebuilding love. He imagined walking into a modest house, Serena standing at the door. Jalen ran into his arms, DJ shaking his hand, proud that they made it through the storm. He held on to that picture like it was a photograph he could touch. But then the dream started changing. Serena's face would blur. DJ would be standing behind her. Jalen wouldn't run to him. The house would be too quiet. And when he tried to speak, no sound would come out. Langston didn't say any of this to anyone. He smiled when inmates cracked jokes. He nodded when the guards did roll call. But inside, he was unraveling in slow motion. Not because of what he knew, but because of what he didn't do. And in that kind of silence, even hope starts to feel like a lie. Langston Miles walked out of Angola with the same quiet he went in with. The gate clanked shut behind him, and that was it. No camera crews, no family, no Serena, just open air and a bus voucher. He stood there for a moment like he was waiting for something to happen. Like maybe someone would pull up at the last second. Maybe DJ in that old Cutlass. Maybe Serena in the Corolla they used to share, but the road stayed empty. So he picked up his bag, walked to the station, and took a seat near the window. The ride to Baton Rouge was quiet. The bus rattled and the engine hummed, but Langston barely noticed. His mind was running faster than the wheels. Every street sign looked familiar, but felt distant. Every mile brought back memories he didn't ask for. He got off on North Ocadian and walked 3 blocks to his mama's house. Same porch swing, same creaky gate. She opened the door before he could knock. Her face was tired, but her eyes lit up. She pulled him into her arms without a word, held him like she wanted to take all those lost years and give them back in one hug. Inside the house, not much had changed. Family pictures on the wall. Old clock still ticking. But something in her voice told him she was holding something back. She asked how he was doing, asked what he wanted to eat, asked where he was headed next. But she didn't ask about Serena. And when he did bring up the name, she looked down at her hands and said maybe he should rest a little before trying to reach out. He nodded, but that silence told him everything. The next morning, Langston woke up before the sun, put on the cleanest shirt he had, and walked 3 miles across town. Stopped outside a beige single-story house with flower pots on the porch. He had memorized the address from the letters Serena used to send him. He stood across the street for a long time, watching, waiting, trying to slow down his heart. Then he saw it. DJ's black Charger pulling into the driveway. That same car from the old days, only now it had booster seats in the back. Langston didn't move. The front door opened, and DJ stepped out, laughing. He turned toward the house and called out something Langston couldn't hear. A few seconds later, Serena walked out. Her hair was longer, her figure a little fuller, but it was her. The same woman he dreamed about for 18 years. The same one he never stopped loving. Then 2 little kids ran past her. 1 girl, 1 boy. The girl looked about 11, the boy 6. They ran straight into DJ's arms, yelling, "Daddy!" He scooped them up like it was the most natural thing in the world. Serena stood behind them, smiling, not forced, not polite, real. Langston stepped closer, crossed the street slowly, his shoes hitting the pavement like echoes. The closer he got, the quieter everything else became. No cars, no dog barking, just his own breathing, just the sound of what used to be his whole world. Moving on without him, he stopped at the edge of the yard and stared through the window. DJ kissed Serena on the cheek. She laughed. The kids were jumping on the couch. It looked like a life someone built with care. A life that once had his name on it. A life he had protected. With silence, with time, with everything. And in that moment, standing just feet away from the people he gave everything for, Langston felt something break deep inside. Every breath held in for 18 years was wasted at that moment. Langston didn't knock. He didn't wait. He walked up the door and rang the bell once. The laughter inside stopped. Footsteps. Then silence. DJ opened the door and froze. His face didn't show shock. It showed guilt. That quiet kind of guilt that already knows what's coming. Serena appeared behind him. Her eyes widened. Her mouth opened like she wanted to speak. But nothing came out. Langston stepped inside. DJ moved back. Serena reached for his arm, but he brushed past her. He sat down on the couch without being invited. The same couch he'd helped DJ by before everything fell apart. The kids were gone. Somewhere in the back room. Langston stared straight ahead, hands clasped, voice low. He asked one question. How long? Serena sat down across from him. DJ stood behind her. She started to cry. DJ stepped forward and tried to explain. Said it wasn't planned. Said it started with her cry herself to sleep. Him try to be there for her. Said they were broken. Said he was lonely too. Said one night became a few. Said it felt wrong, but they couldn't stop. Said it just happened. Langston didn't respond. He just looked at them. DJ kept talking, his voice picking up speed. Said they tried to tell him. That during the visits, he always looked so angry. Said they didn't know how to say it. Said maybe they were wrong for not telling him sooner. But everything was different now. Said he had to move on. That holding on to the past would only make things worse. Langston finally spoke. His voice was quiet but sharp. He said every year he sat in that cell dreaming of coming home to the life he left. He said every choice he made was for them. Every letter he wrote. Every day he stayed alive. Serena reached out and said she never stopped loving him. But she also loved DJ. That the kids were hers and DJ's. That they didn't plan it this way. That it just happened. Langston looked at her, then at DJ, then back at her. And in his mind, everything he sacrificed came crashing down. The nights he refused to take a deal. The letters he wrote that never got answers. The hours he sat at that visitation table waiting. The way DJ always said, I got her, bro. He thought about the moment he stood in court and chose silence. Chose to protect a man who now sat in his place, with his wife, with his child, with his future. DJ sat down beside Serena, said they still cared about him, said they could help him get back on his feet, said maybe one day things could be okay again. Langston stared at the floor, then looked up and said 4 words. I did this for you. Nobody responded. There was nothing left to say. In his mind, the image of Serena standing behind that prison glass was now replaced with her sitting next to DJ on that couch. In his mind, the last 18 years had just turned into a mistake he could never undo. He stood up, walked to the door. DJ called out after him. Serena cried harder. Langston didn't look back. He stepped out into the street, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't know who he was anymore. Langston Miles disappeared like fog at sunrise. One day, he was walking down River Road, and the next, nobody knew where he went. He didn't go back to his mama's house. Didn't stop by any of the spots people expected. No calls, no texts, no notes left behind. Just gone. DJ told a neighbor he thought Langston left the state. Said maybe he needed space. Said maybe the truth was too much. But his voice cracked when he said it. Serena didn't say much at all. She barely left the house. Her eyes stayed on the front door like it owed her something. Like maybe it would open and give her one more chance to make it right. The days passed slowly. The air got heavy. And nobody saw him coming. Langston had taken a bus out to St. Francisville, a quiet little place just far enough to disappear, without leaving Louisiana. He walked into a pawn shop on a Wednesday. The bell above the door jingled. The man behind the counter barely looked up. Langston slid his ID across the glass, chose a small black pistol, paid in cash. No questions asked, no words exchanged, No music playing. Just silence. After that, he walked miles and miles through streets he hadn't seen since he was a kid. The barber shop where he got his first haircut. The gas station where he used to buy Now and Laters. The basketball court where he and DJ once played until the sun went down. He sat on a bench across from their old middle school and watched the windows. Wrote letters in a worn-out notebook. Pages and pages. But he didn't mail them. He folded each one, put them in his pocket, then tore them to pieces before he left. The camera cuts between them. DJ tossing and turning at night. Serena staring at her phone, tears building in her eyes. Langston sitting at a bus stop under a broken street lamp, his head bowed, the gun resting beside him wrapped in a brown bag. Nobody knew what he was planning. Nobody knew what he was feeling. But something in the air had changed. Stillness before something breaks. Time moves slowly, but something was building behind it. And Langston, a man who once carried hope like armor, now walked with silence that felt final. I gave them everything, and they called it love. It was a Friday night. Quiet. No traffic on the block. No music from the neighbors. Just the kind of stillness that sits heavy in the air. Inside the Jelks residence, DJ and Serena were winding down. The kids were gone for the weekend. Sleepover at a cousin's house on the other side of town. Serena had just washed her face. DJ was already in bed. The lights were off. The television played something neither of them were really watching. They didn't talk much that night. They hadn't for days. Something between them had shifted since Langston's visit. Like the truth they'd been hiding finally caught up. But still, they went through the motions. They turned off the lamp, pulled the covers up, tried to rest. And then came the sound. A doorbell. One ring. Sharp. Out of place. Serena sat up. DJ turned toward the hallway. Neither of them moved at first. It was late. Too late for visitors. He told her to stay put. Got up. Walked barefoot across the hardwood. Looked through the peephole. But nobody saw what happened next. What the neighbors heard was a scream. Quick. Cut short. Then 2 gunshots close together. Then nothing. No tires screeching. No door slamming. Just silence. A neighbor across the street called 911. Said she heard something that didn't sound right. Said it felt wrong. Said it felt close. When the police arrived, they found the door slightly open. No sign of forced entry. No signs of a fight. DJ was in the hallway. 1 shot to the chest. Serena was on the bedroom floor. 1 shot to the head. No defensive wounds. No struggle. It was fast. It was direct. It was close. Inside the house, there were photos of family trips. A wedding portrait on the dresser. Children's drawings taped to the fridge. And blood on the carpet. The next morning, just after sunrise, Langston Miles walked into the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. Alone. Calm. No lawyer. No hesitation. He looked the deputy in the eye and said his name. Said he needed to confess. He walked in with his hands raised. The same hands he used to hold his wife were now covered in her blood. The officers didn't ask why. They didn't have to. They'd seen the report. They knew who the victims were. They knew who Langston was. And as they led him away, cuffed once again, he didn't cry, didn't speak, just lowered his head and closed his eyes, like a man who already served his sentence, like a man who had finally reached the end of a story no one ever expected to hear. The headlines ran for days, but the courtroom was nearly empty. No camera crews, no public outcry, just a quiet building, worn down by time, holding the weight of 3 destroyed lives. Langston Miles was brought in wearing the same beige jumpsuit he thought he'd never have to wear again, shackled at the wrists. Chin up, eyes steady. The charges were clear. 2 counts of first-degree murder. The names of the victims didn't have to be read aloud. Everyone in that courtroom already knew. DJ Jelks, Serena Miles, the betrayal that turned into blood. Langston didn't ask for a trial. He didn't fight. When the judge asked for a plea, he stood straight and said one word, guilty. There was no gasp, no reaction, just a still silence that hung in the air like smoke. Before sentencing, He was given a chance to speak. The courtroom leaned in. He didn't cry, didn't yell, didn't ask for understanding. He looked the judge in the eyes and said, "I did 18 years for a lie. I'll do 50 more for the truth." And then he sat down. The judge exhaled slowly. The sound of papers shuffling echoed through the room. After a pause, the judge spoke. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't scold. He just said what everyone was already thinking. This is not justice. This is a tragedy. Outside the courthouse, the community didn't know where to stand. Some said Langston was a murderer, cold, calculated. Others said they understood that anyone would have broken after carrying that much pain for that long. The story passed from barbershops to kitchen tables. People shook their heads. Some blamed DJ. Some blamed Serena. Some blamed the system that swallowed Langston whole and spit him back out into a life that no longer existed. Serena's family refused to attend the sentencing, said they were too broken to sit in that room. DJ's brother came alone, sat in the back, and left without saying a word. Langston's mother was the only one who stayed behind. She stood outside the courtroom steps, her face weathered, her arms crossed tight, whispering prayers under her breath. In the end, Langston was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. The courtroom emptied out slowly. No one lingered. No one spoke. Just the sound of footsteps on tile floors and the door closing behind him for the last time. Langston Miles now sits in a cell not much different from the one he left after 18 years. Same narrow bed, same concrete walls, same silence. The guards barely look his way. The other inmates call him the man who came back. He doesn't talk much, doesn't write letters, doesn't read. He just sits. Sometimes he stares out the small window, watching the sky like it might offer answers. But most of the time, he's looking down at a folded piece of paper, a letter that had been tucked in one of Serena's last envelopes, one he never opened until after the blood was on his hands. Her handwriting is neat, careful, like she wanted every word to land just right. If you ever read this, know I loved you. I just couldn't keep waiting. I didn't plan for any of this. It just happened. I didn't want to hurt you. I hope one day you can forgive me. The letter is stained now, worn from being read too many times. The words no longer sting. They echo on the shelf above his bunk. There's a photo, the same one he had pinned to his wall back in the first bid. Him and Serena on their wedding day. Her smile was wide. His arms were around her. Behind them, DJ standing off to the side, laughing. The photo is torn now, right down the middle. Her half folded under the mattress is still sitting on the shelf. In the quiet of that cell, questions hang in the air like dust. Was Langston betrayed? Or did he hold on too long to something that no longer existed? Can loyalty become a prison when it's only going one way? Was there a moment where forgiveness could have changed everything? Or was it always going to end like this? We tell ourselves we know what we'd do in the face of betrayal. We say we'd be strong. We'd walk away. But when you give someone all of you, when you hold on through the darkest nights, believing they're doing the same, what happens when you find out they let go years ago? So we ask you, what would you have done? Would you have forgiven? Could you have walked away? Or would you have come back too? Because sometimes the deepest wounds don't bleed, they echo. And some stories don't end. They sit with us, long after the credits roll. Betrayal cuts deeper than time. Love fades. But pain waits. So tell us, if you were Langston Miles, would you have walked away? Or would you have come back too? Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Like this video and share if it moved you. And if stories like this make your heart race, stick with us, because some truths are too real to forget. This is Ruthless Realities. Until next time.